Alright, hello everybody. I am Haley, and I did my presentation on gender issues and social media, which obviously many people know that there's tons of different gender issues in social media and happening every day. So I started off by talking about women on social media. To start off, they're more expressive, so they express their feelings. They talk more about their lives and what's happening with them throughout all different social medias, meaning Tumblr and Facebook and Twitter, anything like that. And they are genetically wired for social media. So a lot of women are drawn to it. They like to express their feelings using it. So they're just genetically wired. And then they use it to make connections. So, meaning they talk to tons of different people on social media, so friends, family, anybody in the business world. So they can just generally make better connections using it. They are mostly among the ages of 19 to 25. So anybody between the ages 19 and 25 are more likely to be using social media and enjoying it and being more expressive. Women tend to be better at using social media and anything like that for businesses and marketing. So they often use it as a marketing point. So they use all their social media just to get their businesses out there and using that as a connection. They also tend to post more face pictures, so more of like a headshot and less of body shots onto social media. So that's one thing where they differ from men. Because on the next slide, talk about men on social media. So men in social media, they use it to gather information and to build influence. So a lot of the men on social media, they often are there as just an observer. So they observe it, they gather information about their peers, just general information, maybe about like politics or things that are happening in the media and anything like that. They also use it to increase their status. So they actually go on there just to make themselves look better. They try to build themselves up and get more attention, pretty much. They also look at profiles. So like I said, they gather information. So they are mostly there just to look and observe. They don't usually be expressive like women. And they search for more friends. So they actually use it to search for people, look at people's statuses and things like that. So they don't use it as much as like a business outlet or anything like that. They mainly just use it for social reasons, which you think everybody would, but mostly for social. They also tend to post more full body pictures. So more men tend to post body pictures and women tend to post facial pictures, which is kind of interesting if you think about it, because women actually think more about their face and men think more about their body. And when you think about that. And now my next slide, I want to talk about stereotypes of gender in social media. I started out with women on this one because a lot of social media and media in general use stereotypes, so they're used often. And for women, the stereotypes are based off of how they used to be treated and so on. So they were seen as low position workers, so they didn't really have great jobs. They were known as the loving wives and mothers, and then that put them in the position of being housewives and just raising the kids and not having any occupation. But now, women are different, so those stereotypes don't really apply to them, but media is still using them. So right now, women have more rights, and they have labor possibilities, so they have more occupation possibilities. They have about equal work opportunities, maybe not quite as equal as we would want, but they are more equal than they used to be. And the feminist movement actually changed the idea of work. So with that, women are able to have more careers, different job opportunities, and they also are moving up towards equal pay. And they changed it to being not either masculine or feminine distinctions in occupations. So they pretty much fought for the equality of occupations and women can do whichever occupations they want, men can do whatever occupations they want, and it's just pretty much equal. Even though it's not completely equal, it's at least better than it used to be. And then we move on to men and their stereotypes. So with men, they used to be looked at as the financial providers. So obviously they provided for the family, as the women were housewives and mothers. And then they were more career focused and assertive. So they were pretty much the discipliners. They taught their children the discipline side of them. And then they also were more focused on their career, obviously, because they were the providers of the family. They were also more independent. So that's kind of the stereotypes for men when they're being used in social media and media in general. But now, men tend to be seen as dominant still, but they are now equal providers with women. So women have careers, men have careers, and they both provide for the family equally. They also do an equal partnership with raising the children, so that's a little bit of a difference between that. And they are also, there's also not much of a difference between men and women. There might not be full equality right now. We are moving to that, so that's a really neat thing that's been going on with our lifetime. But there is still not all the way equal. But there will always be these stereotypes throughout social media and television and everything like that. So we're just trying to move away from that. So that just brings me to my next slide, which is stereotypes of gender in social media in general. So stereotypes are still used based on assumptions. So most of them are just based on the assumptions of how women and men used to act in their older lives. So when they would go through with that, they would still be looked at as housewives, and the men would be the providers, and the women aren't seen as providers as much. And then media says it helps the audience understand the message. So in that way, they're trying to show the message in the fact that men are more of the providers and women are more housewives, which is not the real case now. So they're basically showing the audience pretty much a false message. They also reach large audiences, which isn't very helpful in the fact that we're trying to kill the stereotypes of men and women through social media. So these large audiences that they're reaching out to actually are getting the wrong messages, and they're all based on assumptions. So it's not really helping the case of breaking the stereotypes. That being said, these large audiences are forming opinions based on the different stereotypes that are being said throughout social media, and people's opinions are more shaped on assumptions now versus reality because of the differences between how people used to be and how they are now. Then we move on to how they show male dominance over women. So this is something that's been a real problem between genders, the dominance of men over women, and this is something that the media continuously shows, and they show this over and over again, and then that makes people's opinions a little different than what they should be, and it's just something that really needs to change throughout the media. Most people are aware of all these stereotypes, but it's often hard to remain objective and remain biased with all the stereotypes that are out there. That goes for gender as well as race and ethnicity and culture and everything like that. So people are based on the stereotypes that are shown throughout social media in general, and they are swayed even though they know about all the stereotypes that are out there. It's still hard to remain objective just because there's so many and they're all over the place and they reach all the large audiences. Now to my final slide, which is sexism on social media sites. So Facebook and Twitter make objectifying women easy. So most people get objectified through Facebook and Twitter in any social media. And it's just too easy now because we have so many different social medias that they just get objectified daily. And then there are posts about rape and other incidents that happen way too often. And because of this, people aren't fazed by it anymore. So if you see something through social media about rape and anything like that, it's just people don't look at it, they just scroll right by it, and there needs to be more people that stand up to it, and people that actually bring it to other people's attentions and report it and things like that. Because when you report it, people just get slapped on the wrist. They don't even have to they might take down the page, but what's that going to stop? Really nothing. So there are pages on Tumblr and Facebook and Twitter and all social media that show sexism in social media, which is pretty interesting to me, that we have so much sexism throughout all of our social media that we have to have different media pages that talk about all the sexism. So there is one that I found, which is called Everyday Sexism Project. So with that, it is a blog. It is also on Tumblr and Twitter. And it's where people go and they can post about sexism that they have encountered personally or they've seen. And this is both for real things out in the real world, people being sexist, and then there's also posts about social media and how people have been harassed or sexually abused verbally through any of these. They also have I have a Twitter, so like I said, you can look them up, and it's actually pretty interesting to read all of the different sexual abuses that even happen just over the internet, which is the easiest way that I find people do, because a lot of people have more courage to do it over the internet because they don't have to talk to anybody. So these are real people posting their stories about their real life sexist experiences, and it's through social media, so that's pretty interesting too. Just because most of them are through social media, just because people don't have to talk to somebody face to face, and it's a little harder to insult and say sexist things to somebody's face. But that concludes my project, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And these are my references if you wanted to see them. And thank you for listening. Have a